When I tell you to think of a Sonic song, what comes to mind? Cityscape, Live and Learn, Open Your Heart? Sonic music typically has a stereotypical sound to most people's minds jump to, with that sound for some reason being known as butt rock. This usually refers to hard rock and heavy metal music, which was heavily associated with the series, especially during its initial jump to 3D. Despite this, in recent times, the franchise has been moving further and further away from this type of sound. I have to assume because that sort of music has been dwindling in popularity ever since the 2000s, but also because of the current sound director, Tomoyo Otani, seeming like he much prefers more synth kind of music, which has started to be seen more and more, especially with the Colors Ultimate remixes, Forces, and Frontiers Cyberspace music. Tomoyo Otani is an extremely talented musician, and is responsible for directing two of my favorite Sonic soundtracks, 06 and Unleashed, but if I'm being honest, I'm not a massive fan of the direction he's been taking nowadays. I much prefer tracks that fit the setting of the stage with different instruments and vibe, which is still present nowadays, but his obsession with synth has caused more and more of his soundtracks to blend together for me. Like, I ain't no synth hater or anything, but what cyberspace level do you think of when you hear this song? How about this one? Whereas when you hear this song, what do you think of? Like a beach setting, you know? Then compared to this song. You know, it's all intense, like you can imagine it being for a fire stage. That's not what I want to talk about, though. I mean, it wouldn't be a Splash Dash video without unnecessary tangents. No. What I want to talk about today is the Sonic music that diverts from this usual style of rock and pop songs, instead focusing on the rare time where they'd make a Sonic song with the intention of bringing out the feels. Basically, any emotion other than, damn, this shit slaps. Sad, creepy, heartfelt. I want to highlight some of them because with music in the series becoming more and more homogenized, I think it'd be nice to highlight the times when Sonic music tried to evoke a different feeling from you. Possibly the song I associate most with this comes from Sonic Mega Collection. Compared to the video game compilations we see nowadays, Sega really went all out on this. All the cool artwork, being able to listen to songs that were only exclusive to CDs, comic cover art, but most importantly, the presentation was so unique and simply iconic. The piece of music I think of most often is the history theme. There's something about it that's just so deceptively soothing, where it's clearly meant to be calm and relaxing, but I can't help but feel it evokes this strange sense of loneliness and isolation. Even as a kid I felt this way listening to it for the first time, and I'll never know why that is. I'm no music guy, but it might have something to do with the fact that the notes constantly linger on, droning in the background like you're being taken on a peaceful drive. But then it also feels like there's a slight echo to it, like I imagine being in a giant empty waiting room or elevator and can only hear this playing off in the distance. It strangely makes you aware of your own mortality, and if you don't understand what I mean by that, then I don't think you ever will until you hear a piece of music that clicks like that for you. Get excited, kids! You're headed towards a one-way ticket to existential dread. You want to feel nostalgic? Go to the comment section of any one of these songs I'm going to talk about and just read people's stories. I mean, some of these guys really wrote their heart out down here. Evidently, I'm not alone in this song having some sort of impact on me. Even as a kid, the song made me feel weird. Made me sad and strangely aware of my consciousness and mortality. Not much of a story, but more so a retelling of how this song makes me feel. Free. It takes me back to when things were easy and I'd run around my house pretending to be Sonic. Growing up really isn't all it's cracked up to be, huh? I'm glad there's a wonderful family of people that share this same love over this universal tune. Music, it's incredible. I love you all. This track is the most magical and transcendent piece of music I've ever heard in my life. It's interesting because even though I did look through all the comic covers and extras on the screen that this music plays on, I don't recall going there very often. Even so, it feels like through my entire childhood it's hidden somewhere in the echoes of this music. It's a song of remembrance, even without your trying, just hearing it brings you back to a calmer time where everything felt right. I can see me right before I was thrown into the deep end of my teenage years, in my basement, sitting in front of this chunky old flat screen with a Wii in front of it. At that age, I'm starting to really discover myself for the first time, and I'm soaking in every sight and sound on the disc, because I could already feel that Sonic was something that meshed with me at my core, sitting in a recliner that was thrown out long ago, looking at a TV I helped get rid of for good, on a console we never hooked up anymore, all on a table that has been destroyed by rain and wind. It's a scene that makes me feel truly at home. Friends that want to hang out all the time, the energy and drive to jump up at a moment's notice and do something fun, the hardships and problems of the world nowhere in sight, my future too far away to worry about, and the optimism that could get me through any dark day that may come around and surprise me. If only I could live there forever. There's something both equally incredibly comforting and depressing in this tune, and I can't explain why. From the first time I heard the initial notes, literally every time this tune plays, every hair on my body stands on end, and tears well up for some absurd reason. Normally, I show almost zero emotion aside from occasional excitement with small groups of friends. What on earth is wrong with me? Deep stuff, right? I don't know what it is about this random piece of music from an optional menu on a collection of 30-year-old games, but it hit people, and I think that's really special. Less emotional and more creepy, but I also think about the Mirror Room theme from Sonic Adventure a lot too. I can't say a mirror, I have to say like mirror, like it's M-E-R, I can't say mirror. You may not even know what I'm talking about here, and that's because it's specific to the Amy story, and I can't imagine many of you returning to that riveting time very often. But it's in her first stage, Twinkle Park, when you're in the room with the trapdoors on the ground, the booby traps being signified if you look in the mirror. But for some reason, the song they picked for this one tiny gameplay section was this. Why? It's unsettling, right? As unsettling as a Sonic song could be. Listening to it with headphones for the first time made me realize that there's some occasional sound in the background that's meant to replicate like wind flowing through your ears as this ominous piano plays. Oh yeah, don't forget about that iconic Sonic laughing baby sound effect. This segment of the game is so damn short, I never even knew this was in it. It genuinely caught me off guard. It starts all innocently creepy, but the further in, the more menacing and foreboding the instruments get. Like it's building up to some reveal you'll never see, because by the time it comes, the level is over and you're back to listening to... Let's briefly talk about cutscene music. I feel like it's kind of cheating because a regular stage song is meant to fit the theme of the level, which means it's more likely to be upbeat. But with the cutscene music, it has to fit with whatever's going on in the plot at that point in time, which means it's much more prime for low points and such. Sonic Adventure has a great theme that plays during flashback sequences with Tikal and such, fittingly called Sadness. When Gamma makes his sacrifice at the end, he has an amazing piece to go out on. But perhaps my favorite is Goodbye, which plays after defeating Perfect Chaos, where Tails says, "All's well that ends well," as they stand in the ruins of Station Square next to a screaming mother as her child has just been crushed by a building.
Family's dead! What do I do?
Out of all the adventure songs, however, the last scene from SAT2 takes the cake. I absolutely love it. Feels like the perfect culmination of all the events you've just seen transpire. All the characters mourning the death of Shadow, who just sacrificed himself for all of humanity. But you know what's even sadder? The song that plays when you try to get rid of your Chow. I just can't do it. My heart can never let me stay on this screen long enough, but upon hearing the full thing, it's way longer than I thought it was, even having an accordion come in by the end. One of the most underrated soundtracks in a Sonic game has gotta be Secret Rings, probably because I most couldn't look past how bad the game is, and only associate the music with the Kabanamani 456 intro. R.I.P. But if you take a listen to every track, especially the cutscene music, you'll find a lot of jams. The story in this game takes itself surprisingly seriously, so I guess it makes sense for the music to reflect that. I'm pretty sure this game also started the trend of Sonic games ending with super sappy songs about love and friendship, a trend which continued till Colors and finally made its grand return with Forces and Frontiers. Secret Rings had Worth a Chance, Unleashed had Dear My Friend, Black Knight had Live Live, then Forces came back with Light of Hope, and Frontiers had goddamn Dear Father, the most strange title for a Sonic song I've ever heard.
I know now that love is beautiful.
My favorite thing about these is that they barely reflect the game you just played at all. Like, who the hell played Sonic Forces and was like, yeah, this shit hits hard. Honestly though, I wouldn't have it any other way. I always liked it when Sonic games acted like they took themselves seriously without fear of doing something that could be seen as potentially cringy. Also, this isn't sad or emotional, but did you know that Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing had its own vocal theme? I always forget about it. It's by the same guy who did Dreams of an Absolution in 06, and it does not fit at all. It sounds like some mid-2000s club music.
It goes on, don't have the choice, the race begins. Even behind a life that nobody chose. The word after the earth.
I will say, however, that definitively, the Sonic game which I think has the most amount of songs I'd put in this category has to be 06. First of all, it hands down has the best cutscene music out of any of them. Game quality aside, you could really tell from all the CG cutscenes, especially the first and last, that they wanted this to feel like a movie, and the score reflects that beautifully with some pieces that accompany them perfectly, often incorporating le motifs, the same tune but using different instruments and speeds for a whole new feeling altogether. Even a sad little version of His World plays at the low point in the story. Or the music just sounds really fucking badass or menacing. Or something more quiet and somber, when the characters would sit and reflect on their actions, like when Silver contemplates killing someone to save the world. Only for it to be brought back sounding way more intense, like there's a struggle and it's about to snap. When Silver realizes that the person he needs to kill to save the world is Blaze. The song is literally called You Are My Companion. That's so sad. Like, dude, I get it. People don't want this level of story in Sonic, but hearing this music just makes me miss it so much. I seriously hope at the very least, this level of ambition with the score is attempted again in a Sonic game. It works so well and adds to the story greatly. Hell, where is this kind of score in the actual Sonic movies? I'd take this any day over generic orchestra and Lil Yachty. I love the one that plays during the final cutscene. It's so whimsical yet exhausted, like it knows all the bullshit you've just had to go through and is like, okay, cool, things have reset now, let's just take it easy for a bit. Although my absolute favorite has to be the one that plays at the ending, or Elise has to decide whether or not to blow out the flames of disaster before it has a chance to destroy the world again, but knows that if she does that, then the events of the game will never have happened. Her and Sonic will have never met. Wanna know what the song's called? Just Smile. God, it's cringe, but it's my cringe, alright. Funnily enough, this is actually another leitmotif of the theme song for Elise, My Destiny. I like the song, doesn't fit anywhere near a Sonic game, but hey, I don't mind it, it's sweet. But by God, does this song have the most depressing comment section of any video on YouTube. If you have 20 minutes to spare and want to hear a few hundred sad stories, then just go to the comments and get the tissues ready. A lot of people say that moment where Elise hesitated before blowing out the flame of Solaris was stupid, but I disagree. Getting rid of Solaris meant that she wouldn't remember Sonic. She would have done it anyway, but that hesitation makes her a little more human. Can you imagine if you had to get rid of all the memories of your best friend? Your lover, the one who helped change you for the better, to save the world? It would hurt. A lot. A beautiful image that often comes to mind when I hear this song is Elise, or any real woman really, singing this on a stage in front of a crowd, lying in the end as the audience applauses her. Actually makes me emotional thinking about it while listening. R.I.P. Cosmo the Cedrian, Galaxiana, Earthia, Lucas, Lander, Chrysler, Daisy, Starla, Leon, Molly, James McLeod. Everyone is here. Next Generation series finale, the Metric Saga movie 2023. My Destiny. ICH Scrat finally eats his acorn for L Blue Sky. ICH Scrat finally eats his acorn for Blue Sky Studios ending scene. I'll play this at Candace's wedding. Who's Candid? This song would fit for a wedding. Or a funeral. Dude, okay, I feel like I looked at this comment section like a year ago and it was filled with people talking about their friends and grandmas dying and junk. What the hell happened here? But either way, I think it's pretty cool that a random, unfitting song from this bad game, which I like by the way, could have such impact on so many people. That's the power of music. And I'm hoping that following Frontier's attempt at a more serious tone means that we'll start getting more variety in what music we see in the series, because I swear to God, I cannot handle another game of non-stop synth. It gets boring, you know? So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and be sure to let me know what Sonic the Hedgehog song makes you cry in the comments below.